Hey everybody, what's going on? Emo Tempest here. Today I'm coming to you with a new player guide for the year 2025. This is exclusively for Final Fantasy trading card game, obviously. I've gotten this question several times over the last couple of months, pretty much the years honestly, which is, what do I get? Which starter decks? Should I get this and should I get that? And I find this very common, and I don't think there's really any source material on which way to go. So we have a lot of new stuff coming up. We're 25 sets deep, and so I thought, I think we're about to be 25 sets deep with coming in March. So I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of mitigate what everyone needs, especially if we're having new players come. And I know our player base has been circulating a lot between new and veterans, but I think this is long overdue. So for my seasoned players, what I need from you is you can share this along if you agree with my thoughts, and if you don't, please leave your opinions in the comments below so everyone gets, so all the information that we need is here for everyone to share. And with that being said, let's get to the most important part: starters, anniversary boxes, product in general, and where to play. We'll get to the where to play later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But first of all, the starter decks. Alright, so we will probably talk about resources, but we have Material Hunter and FFTCG. This is one of the very common sites. Here I have the starter decks from the newest to the oldest. Now I know there's a lot of interesting ones here. We have the first ones that came out in 2016. You have 13, 10, and 7. And then we have some Scions, 14, 12, 13 again, and a couple things in between here. I am going to let you know now that anything in this top row except this Golbez one is a great place to start. If you're picking up by yourself, you can do 10, 13, or if you're lucky enough to have a buddy who wants to start this with you, you can get these 2-player starter decks, Noctis versus Arden or Avalanche versus Shinra. Now, I'm not going to tell you to not get any of the other ones if you don't want to, but they are unnecessary. Most of those cards are pennies. You can probably buy the whole starter deck for pennies as opposed to finding the original boxing or any cards that are in there. There's nothing that's outstandingly playable that you need to hunt down or get, so I really don't think you need any of these old ones. Now, if you want to pick them up for collection purposes or to just get some other cards, look them up before you do. You should be able to find them on any of the websites, Material Hunter or FFTCG, but realistically, you don't need any of these older ones. Anything before the Avalanche versus Shinra, no thanks. Anything before that, yeah. So even the Shadowbringers one doesn't really have much, if I remember correctly. I suppose you could get this one as, if you're into 14, if you wanted to avoid 15 and 7 or even 4, but yeah. Now, the Golbez and Cecil one was probably the most underwhelming. It had like a few decent cards, but the main cards aren't necessary. Things that are probably still playable to some degree is 10, 13, the Noctis section of this, and probably I don't want to say either one, but the Avalanche and Shinra one have some playable cards from each. They do have exclusive cards actually in some of these, so there is that, but again, you could probably find them pretty cheap still on TCG Player. So yeah, that covers the starter decks. Okay, next up is the anniversary collections. We've had a couple of these, and we have one coming up next month in February 28th. A lot of these are pretty much reprints. If I had to give you my personal preference on which order to buy, if any, it is going to start with the Anniversary Collection 2024. And again, this is if you felt the need to buy product. A lot of these singles are relatively cheap in our game. I think the most important ones are like some of the searchers that come from this, along with some of the older board clears and general staples that come from this one. They're no more than $4 or $5, I think, a piece. So just something to think about. The Anniversary Collection 2024 has a lot of the newer stuff, a lot of good reprints, some new cards that are also, reasonably playable. You don't see them too often, but they're pretty cool. So this is definitely where I would start off. Next would be the Anniversary Collection from 2022. Again, most of these were pretty much solid reprints, had really good playable cards, things that set themselves aside. They all had their moment in the meta. Now, the Dissidia Final Fantasy Collection one was a little bit underwhelming for me. It did have some really good legendary reprints, but I think after it all said and done, it was probably my least favorite, and the one I don't think I bought more than one of. I think as in terms of card specifics, like the Zidanes or Cecils, I believe, were the only outstanding ones. Everything else kind of just fell flat. There are some, pretty much all three of these do have basic decks you can build, so you can play straight out of the box with one of these. And so neither of them is actually bad, but again, I have my preference, and if you were asking me to make a recommendation, it would be 2024, 2022, then 2023. Now, the Legacy Booster Collection box that's coming up is going to be more reprints. These are pack based, so I see if we can find out here. Yeah, there's going to be over 200 packs. Over 200 cards that are reprinted. Each pack would only contain 5 cards. So this is kind of just like, you know, it's another reprint set. It's an official reprint set according to FFTCG Square, and so there isn't much for us here other than just getting fancy, pretty cards. The Warrior of Light is one that's very useful, so definitely try your luck. But I think after this all goes through a little bit, there should be some. The market should dilute a little bit, right, with some of them. So assuming there's reasonable to pull, as I imagine, for a reprint set, they should be cheaper overall. So that's where we are on the Legacy collections. And next, booster boxes. So the main idea here, and again, I think this one has come up just as often as the which starter deck to buy, which is like which booster boxes or which one do I need. I know this might seem a little intimidating for new players that we have 25 cents we need to dive into, but I'm here to tell you, you do not need all of them. A lot of the important cards will be in the staples. A lot of the older important cards and the staples or whatever are in those in those anniversary collections. So you don't need to go too far back. Now, that being said, a lot of the legendaries on non-foil are also very cheap. You should be able to pick up most things from each of these old sets for about, I don't know, $2 to $5 a piece. So something to think about. Again, do some research before you buy it. But if you felt the need and compelled to buy booster boxes from your local game store or wherever it is you get your product, I am going to tell you to go no further than set 9. I believe at set 9 is the last or the first set that we started getting full arts. Now, a lot of the stuff from 9 and 10 might not be as important, but if you're looking to get some kind of reasonable return on your investment, there are full arts beginning in set 9. I think we had a preview of full arts with Opus 8, but that was it is only for the pre-release kit. You got this nice fancy looking Bahamut, the one on the box you see here. And so right after that is when we started getting regular full arts in our boxes, as well as, I actually can't remember when the box topper started, but either way, Opus 9 is where we got full arts to begin with. So 9 to 25 is if you wanted to go dig deep. Now, in terms of competitive stuff, I would definitely pick up the last 4 sets. This is excluding the one that comes out in March. We are looking at Hidden Legends, Opus 24, Hidden Trials, Hidden Hope. All of these have the new Limit Break cards, which is the main mechanic not the main mechanic, but the newest mechanic that the game kind of like really has developed into, right? We want to make the big plays from the Limit Break deck. Beyond Destiny, Dawn of Heroes, From Nightmares, Resurgence of Power, and even Rebellion's Call to some degree have some really good cards. The signature cards started in Resurgence of Power, I believe. So even back here, there's some value to be found in all of these boxes. So that being said, you don't need to buy product. You don't need to buy packs. A lot of cards are much cheaper in singles in our game. But again, from me to you, as a fellow box cracker and pack opener for years, if you have that itch and you need to do it, stick to the last 6-7 sets at most. You definitely don't need to go further than that unless you're finding them dirt cheap, and I'm talking like $30, $40 a box. There are situations like that. They might be in a different language, so just make sure you know what you're doing and what you're looking for. But yeah, definitely don't need to go from Opus 8 back at all. Unless there's a weird foil that's probably outdated, and that's the most you'll get out of these, right? There's a few random foils that you could find that are worth something, but the odds are really stacked against you there. So I know Opus 1 is probably the most expensive set, and Opus 11, so try to stay away from those. And yeah, I think that's about it. If it was me, I would buy Legends, Hope, Hidden Legends, Hidden Hope, and maybe some probably from the new one, or Destiny, Beyond Destiny, some of those if you felt the need to. So yeah, and again, we were just talking about this Legacy Collection booster box. This is just going to be reprints, so keep that in mind. I don't know the price point for some of these, but a box shouldn't cost you more than $100. That's all I'm saying. And lastly, where to play. I think that's the most important part. This next part is going to be quick and simple, and you're going to have to do some research on your own, but I will point you in the right direction, okay? So, first off, your local game shop. This one's going to be the toughest one. If you have a buddy, I suggest if you guys are going to meet up and play, I suggest you go play in the store. Why? Because a couple things are going to happen. If you're looking to build a scene or find your scene, you want people to see that there are players. So don't just practice at home. Don't just practice in your basement, in your attic, or wherever it is you do. Go to the game shop and sit down and just slap cardboard, sling cardboard all day there. Eventually you'll get some people that are interested, and then maybe you start to grow a little bit. This is obviously the easiest one, but make sure to speak to your local game shop and see if they're interested in carrying this product before you sit there all day, in case you do have a lot of interest and they refuse to do anything about it. I think building up a good rapport with your local game shop is important. I try to do it as often as I can with mine and any of the ones I'm visiting for tournaments and stuff like that. So next, it is called Octagon. This is a web client you can download, and I think Octagon also provides kind of like online support for a lot of the like card games, TCGs in general that you can play. I've only ever seen it and used it for Final Fantasy. It is a not too complicated process to download and sign in and get everything set up. You need to download picture packs and things like that, so it works. But it does work really well with both of our sites, Material Hunter and FFTCG. So that'll be, if you want to look that up, those videos out there exist on how to get Octagon set up. You will need to join a Facebook group that provides those image picture packs, so do with that information what you will. And lastly, it has been a long time, but webcam is a thing. If you find some communities that do, there's a lot of webcam tournaments in the community, some all over the place. Some are free, some are not. You can play players all over the world this way. If you haven't already dived into webcam games, obviously you need a internet connection and a webcam with a reasonably spacious setup, so you can kind of see all the cards and everything in play. But it's definitely easier than maybe traveling or setting up Octagon or whatever. For me, I'm a local game shop and a webcam gamer, so if you ever want to throw down, let me know. But yeah, lastly, I think that's it pretty much for where we're gonna play. Again, guys, that's gonna be it for the new player guide. I hope this helps. I hope this answered all your questions. If you have any more, or if I missed any for my seasoned players, if you've made it this far, please leave it down below. I'd love to have you guys help me out as much as you can, and there may be more of this, so we will see how that goes. For now, welcome to Final Fantasy, the trading card game. Hope to play with you sometime, and good luck out there.